With about 2 months until launch, Ubi decided to put out their AC Shadows World trailer, focusing on really what this game looks like in the open world. Before we look at the specifics, I just want to talk generally about this trailer, a couple takeaways. First is that I expected this game to look really good, and this trailer just further proves that it looks very good. Ubisoft's games for the last decade plus have visually been at least at the standard or above the standard in my eyes of how a game should look in 2024. Shadows from this footage is no different. It's gonna be undeniably a very pretty game. For all my gripes I have with Valhalla, I'm willing to admit it's a gorgeous game. Odyssey is a gorgeous game. Origins is a beautiful game too. So it shouldn't really be surprising to anyone that Shadows is a gorgeous game, talking about the environment. Generally, how does this world look? It looks fantastic. It really gets lost, to me at least, in the conversation how pretty Ubisoft games are just because of how controversial they are in every other aspect, right? Like gameplay, some people love it, some people hate it. The RPG aspects of Assassin's Creed, whether they belong or not, the parkour, all this other specific stuff. But all along, unless you just hate Ubisoft to your core and that's your entire personality, these games have been very pretty, and this one is no different. From an art direction standpoint, it really does feel like they're going for the same approach that they did with Valhalla. They're trying to make this as realistic as possible to look at and move through. I really appreciate kind of the fogginess of a lot of the areas that they show off. There's a ton of weather in this trailer. You've got some snow, some rainy days, some very dark, thunderstormy nights. There's a real variety being shown off here, which makes sense given the fact that the changing environment was a real selling point, a marketing point for Ubi with Shadows. You're going to be able to traverse the environment in different ways depending on the weather and how cold or how windy or how foggy it's going to be. Something else that really caught my eye here is the lighting, talking about like the bamboo and the trees and the god rays that are sort of poking through, and also these night scenes with the lanterns. They look more similar to a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 than they did in a game like Valhalla. Now, obviously, we shouldn't expect the lighting to look as good as Red Dead 2, even though that game is old. It's still just kind of a benchmark for how open world games, I think, should look. But I think the lighting interacting with the fog and the other weather effects is more impressive here. I'm interested to see if that really brings me into the world. To me, the lighting in the last couple of Ubi games, of course, like I said, still gorgeous game, but a little too harsh, especially Valhalla. I understand it fit the aesthetic of the Viking game and sort of old England and how brutal it is, but for this game it feels tamer. It's not hitting you over the head with how bright something's going to be in your eyes. It's interacting, like I said, with the environmental effects, more of the fog, more of the rain, the weather that we're going to be seeing, and I like the flavor that it's giving off so far. Another thing being emphasized in this trailer that is kind of not being talked about enough, at least in my eyes, is the seasons and the way that weather affects, what you're seeing in the environment. A lot of before and after is being shown in this trailer where it starts snowy and then it goes to maybe spring where it's nice and lovely and green. I'm interested to see how different it feels like to move through an environment that changes depending on where I am in the story and in what order I choose to tackle different objectives. Because I do think that weather can be something that really does immerse a player in a world, and if this is something that is prevalent, that is something you feel and affects the gameplay and just your overall experience as you're going through this game, then I think that's a big win. So we'll have to see how it feels. I haven't played the game myself, so I'm just waiting to see if that makes as big of an impact as they're making it seem to. Really, throughout this trailer, they show us a number of activities that I think we'll be doing with Naue and Yasuke just in the world, in the open world. For example, Naue looks like she has this parkour challenge, which fits her because we know she's better at parkour, literally better at parkour than Yasuke. But she's going through this rainy little obstacle course here, and then we see a little bit more with this waterfall, and who knows what's going to be up here, maybe a chest with some loot in it, but that certainly looks like something we'll be doing a lot with her. This could just be a cutscene here, but I wanted to include it just in case. Yasuke looks like he's practicing, some martial arts in the fields there. Looks very brooding and cool and meditative. Don't know if that's an activity, but seems like it could be. Naue looks like she's doing either some poetry here or maybe some drawing, some painting next to the koi pond, and then we get a little bit more with another character here. So Again, could be an activity, could just be a cutscene. We get a couple more glimpses of Yasuke interacting with NPCs, the second of which to me looks a lot like Oda Nobunaga, who's a daimyo in the game who Yasuke serves as a samurai. And then back to Naoe, we get another look at her with her dad practicing on some kind of flute, some sort of musical device. Don't know if we're going to come back to this or this is just a cutscene. Now, the majority of this trailer focuses on more rural shots. You know, we're out in the countryside, sort of experiencing Japan outside of the cities, but they do include some shots of the city and it looks really good to me. It looks a lot more detailed and more dense than Valhalla. One of my gripes, again, I know I'm banging this drum against Valhalla and I always will probably, but it's not a very detailed game when you look up close and personal at, you know, just the environment and how things are laid out, especially in the cities. The cities were disappointing to me. In contrast, these look a lot more lively to me. They look lived in. There's actually people walking around doing random tasks, you know, like they used to do in the older AC games. While a good portion of this game will be played in the countryside, I mean, so far it feels like there's more emphasis on these cities, and that's really what I've been missing from Valhalla, at least. So it's good to see that. I've seen some criticism of this horse animation here with Yasuke riding through this village, and to me, it doesn't look great. I'll agree with that. It's also slowed down even more than the 30 FPS that this video was recorded and uploaded in. And while I don't think that helps, I think it's also true that if you take a really good looking video game horse, like once again, Red Dead Redemption 2, and slow that down, it certainly looks better than this. So I don't know, man. I played Valhalla early. There were some things that looked janky and then were addressed and at least improved for launch. So maybe this will be one of those things, but maybe not. The final thing that stood out to me in this trailer is the faces, and not necessarily judging facial animation because there's really not a lot of it in this trailer, but instead the detail and just zooming in on Yasuke's face, especially in this scene. It is so detailed. And so if you're going to be playing this game in 4K, it's going to be a treat to look at, not just the environment, but the character models as well. Of course, that's not going to matter as much to me if the facial animation is wooden. And I don't think you can take a lot away from this trailer because there's really not a lot of faces being shown and not a lot of animation shown, a lot of kind of idle expressions. And so I just hope that they really put some focus on that in the final stretch of the game, because I think it matters so much with connecting with these characters. A big part of why I didn't connect with Eivor, at least, and even Basim in Mirage, is that the facial animations didn't work. They didn't come off as human, and they didn't accurately express, I think, emotion. So I hope they really clean those up and prioritize those, because that really matters a lot, at least to me. So that's really all of the commentary I could squeeze out of this short trailer. I think it's a very pretty game. I think it's going to be fun to explore this world. I'm particularly interested in the environmental effects and the weather and how that's going to make me feel as I'm moving through the world. And I'm excited. I'm excited to, you know, explore these cities and this countryside, and I hope that we see more, you know, raw gameplay before launch, because it's nice to see a lot of like pre-scripted cutscenes and, you know, gorgeous shots like this. We've been seeing that for so long from Ubisoft, and it almost never directly translates to how good is the game actually. Not until I put my hands on this game and play it for myself will I really know if this game is clicking or not. But from this trailer, it's a pretty game, and that's what we expected. That's it for me, guys. Just a quick one today, but I hope you enjoyed. And let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about the world trailer? What about this environment? Does it look pretty to you? Are you excited to explore it? Or do you have some more skepticism than I do? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. And also subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Ring the bell so you don't miss my next one. Thanks again, guys, and I will talk to you next time.